If you're ready to have a major glow up in 2025, you'd best believe that the best glow ups happen from within. Today, I'm going to be going over a couple of the internal mindset shifts that I went through in 2024 that caused a major glow up so that you can repeat the same things and have an awesome year. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail on each one of these topics, but if you have any other questions or you want me to go into more depth on one of these, I'm super happy to make another video about it. Just let me know. My disclaimer for this video is that every mindset shift is not something that happens just overnight. When you want to have a mindset shift and you want to adapt a new way of thinking and a new way of feeling, it's not just realizing that you want to change and then making that change. It really happens by repeated practice at having these different mindset shifts. So just keep that in mind when I'm going over these. These happened over a full year and they did take quite a bit of effort, but after putting in that effort, I have zero regrets because they have completely changed the way that I behave and the way that I'm looking at life. The first mindset shift that I had in 2024 was to start deciding what I'm not going to do. I also call this my not to-do lists. It's really easy to get super overwhelmed with everything that you should be doing, everything that you feel like you should be doing, everything that you want to do, everything that you have to do, everything that has a deadline. Like, it's just so much to balance. And I think that a lot of times we can create a lot of unnecessary pressure on ourselves to do everything. I can definitely get this way, and I become so overwhelmed that I basically do nothing because there's just too much for me to do. So when this happens, I write down everything that's on my mind. Sometimes this can take several hours, sometimes this takes several days. I'm not just talking about to-do lists like, oh, I want to clean the bathroom or I need to return something. Some of these to-do list items are a little bit more vague than that. Like, I should be playing with my kids more, or I should be planning dates with my husband, or I really need to improve and get certified in more things for my work. Like, there's just so many things that all come together that can be really, really overwhelming. And you put everything on this list. If it's super, super specific, if it's super vague, doesn't matter. What you're basically doing is a brain dump. Once you've completed your brain dump and left everything out on paper, you get to decide what you're going to cross off. Now, this mindset shift is really, really important because by doing this, you are going to take back your power and decide what's really important to you. There might be things that you have been doing for a while or trying to do for a while, and you just can't seem to stay consistent with it. By doing this practice, I was able to find a lot of things this year that I am no longer putting pressure on myself to do. Some of these things include trying to hit protein goals, trying to plan something special for my kids every single week, feeling like I have to eat 100% organic everything. There's just so many things that we feel the pressure to do, and I took back my power and decided which one of these things I'm going to do and what things I'm going to let go of. So once I made the decision to let go of certain things or certain expectations of myself, the most important mindset shift that you have to make is to not allow those shoulds to come back into your life. Once I decided that I was not going to worry about hitting my protein goal every single day because it was just way too much to deal with and way too much pressure, when I started asking myself, oh, how much protein does this have? Or, oh, I don't know if I've had enough protein today. Instantly, I would have to catch my thoughts and say, hey, we're just not worrying about that anymore. By deciding what we're no longer worrying about, what we're no longer occupying our thoughts thinking about, all of that stuff, we're able to really free ourselves up and start to make decisions on what we do want to do, what actually matters to us, and kind of create the life that we actually want to live. It takes courage and practice to let go of all the shoulds that are floating around, but by actively making a decision on what you're going to care about and what you're going to do, it can really completely transform your life into exactly what you want it to be. My next huge mindset shift that I had in 2024 was to stop blaming myself for my chronic illnesses. I am not trying to air all my dirty laundry, but one of the longest lasting chronic illnesses I would consider it chronic that I have is acne. And I've had acne for probably 15 years at this point. And I decided this year that I was going to stop blaming myself for acne. I feel like when you have a chronic illness, it's just this constant battle of what else should I be doing? What am I doing wrong? How am I causing this? What doctor haven't I seen? What method haven't I tried? Like, there's just so much pressure that you put on yourself when you're trying to fix this thing that it can just be completely overwhelming. Now, I'm not exactly saying that you need to completely give up on trying to, I guess, improve your chronic illness. Not what I'm saying at all, but it's time to stop blaming yourself for it. When I was able to stop blaming myself for having acne, it just significantly lowered my stress level because I was able to more objectively think about things versus blaming myself or guilt tripping myself. I was able to have fried food without 2 days later getting a zit and being like, oh my gosh, like I just shouldn't have eaten fried food. I'm so angry at myself, you know? Sometimes we just have these chronic illnesses, and of course I would love everybody's to go away and everybody's to get better, and I hope that we can all continue to try to find solutions, but blaming yourself or feeling like you're being punished because you are dealing with some type of illness is just such a waste of time. When you don't have that guilt and that blame, I really believe that there's more inspiration that can come into your life, that came into my life to try to help with these issues versus trying to force these issues to go away by blaming yourself, because it just doesn't make any sense and it doesn't work. So let's stop blaming ourselves and feeling guilty for our chronic illnesses, and by doing that, free up space to make proactive choices in handling our situations. Another mindset shift that I had this year actually started with an experiment that I did. I genuinely don't dislike myself. I don't struggle a lot with self-hatred as much as I used to, but sometimes I can have really negative self-talk about a lot of different things. So many different things. I really don't find it necessary to repeat it. I hope you can just understand that I can be very hard on myself, and I can really get in my head about my faults and really blame myself for a lot of things and kind of get down in the dumps because of that. So about midway through the year, I decided to do an experiment, and I let go of everything else that I felt like I should be doing. This was my number one priority that I had to do for 2 weeks. And what that challenge was no negative self-talk for 2 weeks. I liked the 2-week marker because I felt like 1 week wasn't quite enough to make a difference. But also I didn't want to commit to something like a month, because if it's too long and too overwhelming, I will probably just give up, honestly. And so I decided to just do it for 2 weeks. And all that really looked like for me, sometimes if I had a negative thought come to my mind, I would sometimes come up with like a positive thought or like say that's not true and switch it. But a lot of times what I would practice doing is actually just stopping myself. Like if I started to go down the track of thinking negatively about myself, I would just kind of take a pause, take a deep breath, and just think of something else. And by doing that, I think it really, first of all, showed me how often I was really just veering into that negative self-talk area of my brain, how natural it was. It was weird and insightful because I realized, oh, this isn't even me. This is just a habit that I have, right? It's just my brain is used to doing that. So it made me realize that I do it a lot more than I thought that I did, and that it's such a habit. It's not really 100% my fault. But once again, that it actually was a lot easier than I thought to just stop those thoughts in their tracks. So I did this for a couple weeks, and of course I slipped up and, I would start going down negative self-talk paths, and I would just have to kind of pull myself out of that or distract myself, or however you want to do it. But by doing this, I feel like I really started to develop this practice of stopping myself before I go down into these basically spirals. So this mindset shift is basically that I realized that my negative self-talk actually wasn't benefiting me at all, because once I stopped doing it, I realized that I didn't get anything more done. I didn't feel like I improved as a person, or a lot of other things, I guess, didn't happen. And I realized that the negative self-talk, I think that we can think that our negative self-talk is helping us or motivating us. We think, oh, I'm only going to change if I continue to hate this part about myself. But in reality, it's actually a lot easier than that. I think that we create a lot of problems for ourselves. I think we think something's wrong with us, and so we behave a certain way or try to fix it, and it doesn't help at all. So by stopping myself in my tracks, occasionally changing the way I thought, but really just trying to think about anything but myself all the time, I realized that most of the things that I say to myself aren't even true, aren't even worth it, and I really didn't want to waste my time doing that anymore. So Do I slip up and still sometimes have negative self-talk spirals? Of course. Like, I think that if anybody says they don't do this, I think that they're lying. I think that it's very common and very normal, but I've continued to practice this whole year, and it has really just freed up so much space in my mind and made me less obsessed with self-improvement, and just continue to just kind of live my life without focusing on everything that's wrong with me. Okay, the next thing that I did to improve my life this year was I stopped putting people on a pedestal. I actually learned this from Tam Kaur. She's another creator on YouTube, and I was really just struggling in a lot of social situations. I had moved to a new city last year, and earlier this year I was really trying to make friends, and I just felt like all of these other people know how to act in social situations. Everybody else has friends. I get nervous. I'm awkward. Just so many different things. And I just felt like other people knew things or were better in a lot of different ways. I don't know. I have no idea why I thought that. It's just how I thought. But Tam taught me to stop putting people on a pedestal. And by doing that, I think that it really humanized everybody for me. I think it was easier for me not to think negatively about people because I'm not trying to bring them down from anything. But then I was able to really openly communicate and just be myself around people because I wasn't just sitting there thinking that everybody was better than me. So by taking people off the pedestal, I was able to make more friends this year than I have in a long time, and do more things in social situations and not feel as awkward and not try to make it all about me or focus on myself compared to others. I was actually just able to be present and in the moment because I'm not better than anybody. Nobody's better than me. Like, we're all just human beings just doing our lives, and it's so much easier and more fun to live that way. The last mindset shift that I wanted to share with you guys today is creating goals when you're down on yourself is completely useless. So maybe you've felt this before, or maybe it's just me. Let me know. But sometimes you can kind of get down about yourself. Like, maybe you'll be like, man, I can't seem to work out or something like that. And you kind of start feeling like, man, I feel like I'm getting pudgy, or I just feel like really winded and fatigued, and I just really need to work out. I don't know what I have been doing that has made me not work out, and just kind of start to get down on yourself. And so when you start making a goal, and this goal is like such a dopamine hit, right? You're like, okay, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working out every single day. I'm going to do 10,000 steps. I'm going to drink 4 of my huge jugs of water. Like, you just start making this huge plan, and all that gives you is a dopamine hit in the moment. And then because you created this dopamine hit, in order to escape the negative feelings that you were having, when it comes down to it, when you go to actually do this goal, like, you usually only do it 1 or 2 days, and then it's really, really common to just give up. Now, what I realized this year is that when I start to make goals, when I'm feeling really, really down, that when it comes down to it, I don't actually want to do those things. I was just looking for a dopamine hit when I was feeling down. So by not creating goals when I'm down, and just kind of, like I said before, trying to think about something else, trying to do something else, trying to not just think about myself all the time. Honestly, that's like a big thing. I was able to not create goals when I was feeling down, but more create goals when I feel excited. So if you make a goal while you're excited, it actually completely changes the perspective of why you're doing it. For example, at the beginning of this year, I was like 6 months postpartum. And so for like the first half of the year, I was like 6 to 12 months postpartum, right? And I still had probably like 20 extra pounds on me, from pre-pregnancy, you know? And so I was feeling really down about myself, feeling like, what am I doing wrong? I need to do all of these other things so I can lose this baby weight, and, you know, all of that stuff that most people are pretty familiar with, that feeling. Well, around like May or June, I was just like, I cannot feel bad about myself about this anymore. Like, this is such a waste of my time. I think I just need to relax and let it be, and just like accept my body how it is. Let me buy some clothes that fit me. Like, it's going to be okay, and I'm safe and I'm fine. Well, once I stopped focusing on how I didn't want my body to look and I just let myself live, I actually started randomly getting this urge that I wanted to start running. I had no idea why, but I just kind of followed through on the urge and I started running every single day for like 20 minutes. And it wasn't even running 20 minutes straight. I was like, I'm just going to go run. When I feel like stopping, I'm going to stop. And when I feel like running, I'm going to run. I just really feel like doing this thing. And I kept wanting to do it every single day. And I did that every single day for several months. And before I knew it, I like started losing weight. Earlier in the year, when I was down on myself so much about my weight and I tried to tell myself that I was going to work out, like that just never actually happened. But when I finally let it go and let myself get excited about something and just started doing it, and then I was able to make goals around it because I really liked it, I was able to stick to those goals so much better. So in 2025, you are no longer going to start making goals to change your life when you're feeling down, but instead you're going to start making goals when you feel excited and when you feel inspired. I hope that some of these mindset shifts were interesting to you. I would love to expand on any of them. Please let me know below what you'd like me to talk more about. My name's Nicole. I am just a normal mom, like working mom, normal person, and I'm just here talking about normal life stuff. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more, and we'll see you next time.